because you always just got to be happy when like defenders. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on. As the big man Ian Wright just said there, people deluded, I'm back again. First things first, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. Big up you lot on Twitter and Twitch. Make sure you're following on all the social media platforms. Links are in the description. YouTube crew, you're the bread and butter. Appreciative to you lot. Again, smash your like buttons when you're coming in, people. Again, we're on the road to 70,000, 60Ks within sight. I have to do it on my own, but I can't do it alone. So you lot have been doing what you can for the YouTube algorithm. Let's keep going. Now, we're going to go over what the Luton Town managers had to say, what Mikel Arteta's had to say, the transfer news, rumours, and all of that sort of stuff. Don't forget, people, you know, we're watching Arsenal Luton together. We think we kick off at 7:30 p.m. UK time tomorrow, so I'll be live from 6:45. Today, we're going to be watching West Ham versus Spurs. You know, I got a lot of love for West Ham fans, but you lot have been piping up thinking you can step to my club. Spurs, it goes without saying, so it's firmly a hate-along, people. So, yeah, big up you lot. And I think at 7 p.m., I did a bit of a edited video where I thought about, I actually, you know, pull it up yesterday and it's in great time. I think Mikel Arteta spoke about the importance of squad players and squad rotations and all of that jazz. Ambrose, appreciate you. Graham, appreciate you. Afternoon, DJ, I hope you're well. I'm doing great, man. Hopefully a professional performance tomorrow night and another 3 points with the boldness of boosting better yet, the goal difference. Such is the progress of Mikel Arteta, innit? Like, we're going into games and, you know, we're playing Man City. We're happy about clean sheets, but we're vexed that we didn't win and do the double over them. Of course, as you said, the goal difference, definitely since the turn of the year, we've been scoring goals for fun. And I know we didn't do that against City, but one thing I did think in the City game, whether we took a point or all three, is that we probably wouldn't keep a clean sheet through no fault of our own. It's just, I don't think many people expect to beat City and not keep a clean sheet. So it does help. Now, Liverpool are the chase, are at the top of the table. Liverpool are obviously at the top of the table. Arsenal and City are chasing. So you're right. Any fine margins. While I don't think it will come down to goal difference, that could be a thing. I know City have been playing mind games and saying it's out of their control and everything, but I'm expecting them to go on a run. I used to think Liverpool won't drop points. Now I'm starting to believe they will. Now, whether we're able to exploit that across the 9 games we've got left in the Premier League, I'm not sure. Now, as much as there's injury issues around us, apparently there's injury issues around... Apologies, folks, technical difficulties, but apparently they're missing 10, 11 players. Now, 9 times out of 10, you know, you shouldn't write teams off. Not that I'm writing Luton off, but that obviously is winding ourselves. Would you give Partey and Tomiyasu a lot of minutes against Luton and Brighton to be ready for Munich? More so, Partey. Again, I don't want to ruin it. I really don't want to ruin it. But at 7 p.m., I went in depth around that sort of stuff. So make sure you've got your notification bells. I've just put the link in the description. We have to manage the minutes, as Mikel Arteta is saying. I don't think Thomas Partey and Tomiyasu are ready to complete 90 minutes. Now, I'm no physio, no coaching expert, but they're not. And we're getting to that scenario where someone might get 45, then you get a 60. Some people play 90. Again, there's a lot of games to be playing. Respectfully to Luton, and I know Brighton aren't the Brighton that they've been since they've returned to the Premier League. They've got a fantastic coach in De Zerbi. Danny Welbeck, we know about him, and they've got a quality team with a quality philosophy. So Saturday is not going to be easy. I would make 1-2 changes against Luton. As much as before I say that, you know, I do believe that we just got to win the game. So on paper, if Mikel Arteta goes out there with the strongest team possible and we get 3 points, every game's a cup final. It's all a must win. We're not top of the table. We ain't got a 5-6 point gap. We need to be winning every game. And obviously, as much as it's a case of rotating, if we go out there, rotate the team like if it was a cup match, and we don't get the 3 points, obviously fingers are going to be pointing at Mikel Arteta, if I'm honest with you. Rightly so. That being said, respectfully to Luton, and definitely nobody can say they don't play good football. Their manager's a good manager. Definitely Luton away. Nobody, whether they've won or not, can say that's been an easy game to play this season. They've given a great account of themselves in the Premier League. Respectfully, though, they're a glorified championship side. Now, I know they've got Barkley in with an outside chance of an England shout and a couple of other players. I'm not even trying to buoy them. I'm just saying, regardless of the rotations, we should be getting 3 points. Obviously, if you play players that are a bit rusty, they're not going to be in the full swing of things. If you make 5-6 changes to a degree, whether we win or whatever, I do think you will see that. But for me personally, as you said there, I would probably start Tomiyasu and Partey. Give me an hour, 70 minutes sort of thing. Take them off in Luton against Luton. And, you know, Kirill don't deserve to be dropped. He's been fantastic. I don't think he was the best in the defence for Arsenal. He had some shaky moments with Bernardo Silva, but he stood up strong. He didn't let the team down. His reputation, if not necessarily in Hearts, we've got more confidence. But I think even he could do with a rest. He'll probably say no because he's been starved of minutes up until the turn of the year. But he got 120 minutes, I believe, for Poland in the international break. Obviously, he played, an hour, 70 minutes against City. I do think we've got Mikel Arteta's got to start. I can't tell Arteta anything, but I think we've got to start being cute and clever with how we rest the squad. And to be honest with you, I need my strongest team out there against Brighton, respectfully. Can't look beyond Luton. But I would probably, Tomiyasu, Partey, you two would get starts for me. I would, you know, Saka apparently is in training. He's our best player. We need to score goals. You could argue him playing. But whether it's Fabio Vieira out wide or Reece Nelson or Trossard out there or Jesus out there, it is what it is. It's a bit of an intriguing one. If I had to pick my team, and I think, again, 7 p.m. I covered this. Make sure you check out that video. Smash the like button. Raya in goal, obviously. Gabriel and Saliba. Benjamin White picks himself. I would start Tomiyasu. I understand if Zinchenko starts. It's a game where you'd imagine we'd have the lion's share of possession, but I would give Tomiyasu a start. In midfield, I would give Partey a start. Declan Rice and Odegaard pick themselves. I would still persist with Kai. You could give him a rest, 100%. And whether Havertz is rested or not, you know, we should be getting the job done. But Havertz is probably one of our most durable players. And I don't want to make too many changes. How much is too many? I don't know. But Havertz will play up front for me. Left and right is where it starts to get a bit political, because you could throw in Smith Rowe. Obviously, he can play in a couple of roles. And I'm going to change my mind several times, but I would probably go Havertz. If Martinelli's fit enough to start, then arguably, yeah. But I'd go Havertz. You know what? Kai Havertz. Trossard on the left, Jesus on the right. And I would love to see Nelson get a start, Smith Rowe get a start, Fabio Vieira. I do actually, ironically, expect him to start, man. So, yeah, man. Bro said throw in Smith Rowe, let it go, brother. That's your dream. Smith Rowe ain't starting, man. He's definitely not starting. Big up a menu. He's not starting. It'd be nice to see him get an opportunity. You know, again, Fabio Vieira and Smith Rowe in particular. In an ideal world, it'd be lovely for Odegaard and Declan Rice to be on the bench if we could afford to do that and say, you know what, Fabio Vieira, Smith Rowe, you've got to run out. But this ain't the League Cup. This is the Premier League. It's be used or be useless. And unfortunately, right now, they're on the peripheral things. I'm sounding like a crazy hypocrite, of course. DJ has the best thumbnails on YouTube for real. I wish. Shout out my editor. He costs a lot, but he does a great job. This is why I need you lot to smash the like button, people. So, yeah, man. Sporting versus Benfica today. Anyone wants to watch Goya Queiroz. It was clear that the long break for some players made them a bit rusty. Our final third play has to sharpen up, and I think this will be the main focus against Luton, against low block Luton. Will Luton really deploy a low block, or will they go for it, man? Because it was the case at their place. It was quite close. And these are the games like on paper, listen, I expect our form and what we're doing with the greatest of respect to them. I expect to wipe the floor with them. I'm expecting 3, 4, 5, even 6 even goals. But I think it'll be a lot closer, man. I think it will be a lot closer. I'm going with 2-1 Arsenal. I just think it'll be one of those crazy kind of footballing games where we just have to get the job done. I would start Martinelli, Havertz, Jesus tomorrow. Keep Trossard and Saka on the bench unless we need goals. Keep Saka for Saturday. It would be lovely for Saka to get the whole night off. And I don't feel right saying Saka should be on the bench or not involved, but if we can't get it done against Luton respectfully to them without Bukayo Saka, then we really are in some troubles. I wouldn't say Jorginho was his best. It's more that Porto and City was that good. Arsenal tried to come at City and were pushed back in the first 20 minutes. Bernardo Silva is just a menace, and he showed. I can't lie to you yet. Jorginho was crap off the bench against Porto, but I can't lie. I don't think Jorginho was terrible. I don't think that game against City was a game where you could really praise individual performances. I think, I actually think Trossard and Martinelli in the minutes played, they did all right. Obviously, you're more full of praise for our defense because there's really anything to talk about with our attackers. Had we have scored one of those half chances, maybe a different sort of rhetoric around that. But I must admit, I think fans are being quite harsh on the whole 11 that played. You know, Raya's kicking was a bit shaky and he was dropping on the floor. I think he did good. I think Saka did his defensive task well, but was anonymous in an attacking sense. Jesus, again, he had some half chances. At least we saw Jesus. We never saw Haaland. I think he put in a shift defensively as well. I think Declan Rice was good. I think Jorginho was all right. But even Jorginho, he's another one that he's not someone that you're going to, if you got 3 games in the space of 10 days, he's got the legs for it, really. You know, when you look through our team, how many players are really durable? And again, there's no criticism. This is why you need a squad. Saka's durable. Declan Rice is durable. Kai Havertz, Gabriel, Saliba, and obviously there's been injuries. Odegaard, the rest of them, we have to monitor them quite slowly. And to be fair, it is nice to see our team back in full fitness at the right time in the season. Just get Watkins, a bit too overpriced for me, if I'm honest with you. But yeah, Luton don't give a toss. Tough game, energy levels ain't high, but we'll do with a low score win. Just get the 3 points, bro. And Luton are fighting for their lives. If you're sitting from a Luton perspective, you're looking at Arsenal, take nothing away from what we've done, as spoil, as privilege. We're talking about league titles and these things. They're literally fighting to keep the lights on if staying in the Premier League was a job. They've also got nothing to, they made it difficult for us last time. I think Arteta was a bit kind when and again, we're going to go over it when he's saying, they're better than where they are on the table, but they are, like, they're fighting for their lives. They made it difficult at their place. Obviously, I hope that doesn't translate to the Emirates. You hope with our form and what we've been doing and whatnot, that is one of them games, simply put, is won and lost in the dressing room or in the tunnel. You know, they look at the height of Kai Havertz, of Saliba, of all these guys, and they're shook. Same team, except I'd start Martinelli, rest Saka. And I can't disagree if that's the thing. I would only bring in 3 players, Zinchenko, Partey, and Martinelli, keep the continuity going. And again, 3 points, because you will see, if you play all the, like, if it was a cup match, yeah, Smith Rowe, Fabio Vieira, Nelson, this guy, that guy. But if you make 5-6 changes, I'm not saying we can't get it done and play silky football. And I say, do you know what? You was talking nonsense. But I do think you will see them, simply put, look like players that haven't played on a regular basis, if I'm completely honest with you. Jorginho was blocking passing lanes. He did his job on Sunday, but it's Partey time. I would start Partey, and Partey, if this is your final season, these last 9 games is where I need you. And like you said, they're social drains. I think people are harsh. Like, if you go and watch that game again, or check out the tactical analysis video I did, you will see in City's build-up play what Jorginho and Declan Rice were doing, and the whole collective team. I know we all want to praise individual performances and things, but City, it's not a game for that. When we beat City at at Wembley, yeah, Trossard, Fabio Vieira off the bench, they did well. Saliba, great against Haaland, but generally there isn't too much to scream and shout about. When we won at the Emirates, it weren't a sexy game of football. They didn't have their strongest 11. We went there with Eddie and Jesus, and we put in a shift. Yeah, it was a moment of brilliance, ironically, from Partey to find Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu's knocked it to Havertz. Martinelli's bought a raffle ticket, and a deflected effort has gone in. You know, strikers finished. We're still giving that goal to Martinelli. Martinelli's still putting strappings on his foot, but Arteta said he's fit enough to play. Bro, Martinelli, let's get with it. I would feel a bit uncomfortable if Saka and Martinelli don't start, if I'm honest. But I know all the talk is about us needing a winger and a striker, and I get it. But I feel more comfortable with changes in the final third, in the front 3, if that makes sense. You know, I don't mind if it's Jesus, Trossard, Havertz from what he's shown. Eddie, I know some people are not going to hear it, but Eddie and Nketiah, Bukayo Saka, Nelson, I'm quite comfortable. I start to feel uneasy as an Arsenal fan, just speaking for myself, where we start, not that Declan Rice has been changed, you know, when he came off in the North London derby, it went down the toilet, but when we start moving central midfield pieces around, when we mess, not that Arteta's done it, but if we was to mess around defensively and in central midfield, that's where I start to be getting a bit nervy, man. We were tactically, the issue was when to stick and twist. And that's the thing our boys have to learn, because I think if you look at the second half, the opening 5, 10, 15 minutes of that second half against City, I agree with you, because we started to gamble. You know, Saka and Odegaard started to press higher. Benjamin White started to press higher. Big up Benjamin White, because, again, the collective is all that matters. But I think, you know, we're always going to hype Saliba. Gabriel deserves a lot of praise. But I think from start to finish, as in minute 0 to minute 90 against City, I think Benjamin White was probably the best, you know, for a while in that game. Not that we had too many attacking chances. He was even our attacking outlet off that right-hand side, put a couple of balls into the box. So, yeah, it's an interesting one, man. Let's get into all the thoughts and talking points and things. You lot have started in top form. Keep your questions, etc., coming. And I also believe that happened to us to a degree against Anfield, and I get at Anfield against Liverpool. But I guess that's where our team needs to go. you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I guess assessing the situation, assessing the risk to reward, and knowing when we smell blood, can we ask questions of City? I guess that's the next step, because for me, the next step is, it's fantastic to take 8 points, if my maths is correct, off Liverpool and City, undefeated at the Etihad and at Anfield. That's unheard of with Arsenal. But if I'm harsh, and not even harsh, we still ain't won there. Like, we still haven't won at Anfield. We still haven't won at the Etihad. If we're keeping up this trajectory, we need to go into games like that where obviously we can get the 3 points. We're not necessarily scared. Not that we're scared, but scared of these sort of away grounds that we struggle at. And hopefully, that can give us confidence for the North London derby when it comes. Obviously, even for Brighton, we got some tricky tests home and away in these last 9 games. You've got Unai Emery's side who are fighting for Champions League. Obviously, Old Trafford, Man United, a fight, not really fighting for anything, but they could spoil our day. North London derby presents its own issues. Wolves away under I think one of the most underrated managers personally, and Gary O'Neill at Wolves. I really like him. I started taking in his work at, I think, Bournemouth, and I like the way he speaks. I like watching little videos about him on YouTube. I think he's quite good in that regards, man. So yeah, man. For the City game, we are learning from our mistakes. We defended well, and defo came there for a draw. I disagree with the fact that we came there for a draw, if I'm honest with you. I think we cancelled each other out. I do think there was a bit of a decreased mental block with us. I think we were up for the fight and whatnot, but we still had that it's Man City. And I think when you listen to Odegaard and Mikel Arteta, of course, they're not going to say anything different. And actually Saliba, they weren't happy with it. They're all saying we should have been on the front foot a lot more. And to be fair, though, going there for a draw, I'm not saying it's the best, but it's not the worst, because I know a lot of football fans want us to be, had we have done what we used to do for years, go toe to toe with these teams, it's a great spectacle, but we lose, they would say we need to be more street smart. We go there, we shut up shop, we show a low block, we kind of did what teams do to us in games, really. I think it was street smart. If you can't win, don't lose. Sometimes you have to live to fight another day. Of course, all 3 points would have given us serious wind in the sails, but that's the whole reason. They can't say we was tactically not on it. They can't say we bottled it and we didn't have heart and fight and all of that jazz at the Etihad. So they're saying it's not entertaining. And last time I checked, the Arsenal fans care. Like, who cares about any opposition fans, any pundits? Who really cares what they have to say, really? Yes, Pep Guardiola is still unbeaten in 13 home games, but to go there, to not let free scoring City lead score, it was irrelevant we was playing at their place. And their home form is amazing. And we all know about their players and Pep Guardiola. And, a lot of people are saying, oh, Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne, they're 2 great players, but we never saw them at the Etihad. Ironically, though, I do think we played City at home and away at the right time, because maybe the international break, all of this jazz, and on top of what we've been doing, getting our form up together. Obviously, they were missing players at the Emirates. I do think we played them at the right time, but we didn't pick that. We don't control the fixture calendar list. Our job is just to give a good account of ourselves. Mature, evolved approach and performance. Just not naive. And for me, I know we didn't win, but you look at, and I know it's different. It's the kind of talking points are ever so slightly different between that game this season and a year ago. But look at the players. The players, for me, anyways, you didn't believe last year at the Etihad you could get something. You look scared. This year, it looked like, okay, we've got a healthy respect for City. We want to achieve what the bulk of their players have achieved, but they're human just like us. So big up them lot. And again, if you're not going to stand out individually, make sure you don't stand out in a negative sense on a collective front. And I can't accuse a single Arsenal player of not doing, I guess, what Mikel Arteta wanted you to do, really. Starting off with Luton, apparently Fredbear's squad to be assessed ahead of Arsenal. Again, we never wish injuries on anyone, but it is music to my ears that they have an injury crisis. Apparently, their boss, Rob Edwards, says his squad's growing injury list is likely to once more affect team selection for Wednesday's Premier League fixture at title chasing Arsenal. The man himself said, we're likely to have 11, 12 or 13 players out. We'll probably have 4 teenagers on the bench, maybe more. Now, this could be managerial mind games. Smash the like button and let me know your thoughts, but it is music to my ears. This is the biggest challenge we've ever had. Of course, we've had incidences with locks, but in terms of facing the best teams in the world in this period of injuries, it is. And obviously they can't play Saliba, but we're competing and it's a challenge. It'll be a big challenge, and Saturday will be as well. We know it's a massive task. We're aware of the size of it. Arsenal are in great form. We're going to have to defend really well, but depleted as we are, it's hard for us to be at our best when we're missing so many players. And while that's music to my ears, I know it's not the same, but a couple of the best results across our home season, we haven't necessarily achieved that with our best squad. many fans, if I say Porto at home, that wouldn't on paper be your strongest Arsenal team. City at home and away, Liverpool home and away. I'm forcing the away ones with Liverpool, but you get the point. When we battered West Ham and all of these teams, it weren't necessarily with our strongest 11. And as you lot know, the most beautiful thing about football is it doesn't matter about what's been done or been said on paper. It's about going out there and getting the job done. Big up yourself, Manny. We played defensive because City played a possession trap. We just didn't bite without our speed outlet. They had confidence to play a high line. That's all there is. And for me, it showed Mikel Arteta's got a plan B. Like, I don't think, and even myself, I don't think we sat there and given Arsenal enough praise for how good we are defensively. You know, we've really improved defensively because of the hype, because of the whole team's, you know, interest in defending. But that showed me a plan B. He said, you know what, sit here, break us down. Mid blocks, low blocks. You try to play out from the back. We got the two men in the middle and Odegaard, so three really cancelling out your midfield. Yeah, there's going to be times where we might all ride our luck, but even that, I wouldn't even say we rid our luck against City, really. The most nervous I was towards the end of the game. Couple, you know, Jorginho had a nervy clearance. Havertz got caught on the ball on the edge of our area. Ake's corner. Other than that, I think they had an effort. I think someone shot and it whistled just wide. Other than that, it was a low-key affair. And I'm sure both teams, you know, really would like to create a lot more on another day. But you know, if playing Manchester City and the biggest criticism is Arsenal didn't entertain the masses, I'm happy with that. You want us to be Spurs and still play a high line regardless of who's on the pitch. There's a very thin line between bravery, naivety, and stupidity. I know which side of history I want to be on, so big up the gaffer Mikel Arteta. In terms of our own injury stuff, people, Arteta has said on Saka, he's fine. Obviously, we haven't trained. We've only recovered and had a short live session today to prepare for the game, and we'll see whether he's in the best condition to start or not. When asked if he could play the full 90, he is, because he was available to play against a really tough opponent 3 days ago. Again, we'll train today and see the state of every player and make the right decision. On Timber, it's positive news as well. Don't forget to subscribe and smash the like button, people. We're on a journey to 70,000. Big up the Twitch and Twitter ones. He's doing very well. He's not far off, but the thing is that last step. He hasn't played any minutes, so he does need a game with the under-21s. Does he need 2 games? So we hope he can feature some part of the 9 Premier League games left, but that's telling me just slow down a bit with Timber. We're going to have to see, especially because he's training with us, and we need to see how long that will take him. That last part is tricky and sometimes takes a while. Hopefully, he'll be back as soon as possible. And I think he did an interview with Young Philly for like Pro Direct or something like that, and he said he would be back by the end of the season. But I have like the cautious approach where Gabriel Jesus suffered a mad injury, Saliba. So if we don't see him at the end of the season, I'd be disappointed, but it's for the greater good. We've gone over Bukayo Saka. In terms of the full press conference, Arteta said, if asked if we've had an opportunity to recover, I'd say yes and no. The games are coming thick and fast. And can you imagine if we were still in the League Cup, if we're still in the FA Cup, what we'd be saying? This is probably why we need to bolster the squad and make sure players stay fit. So, yeah. We're just thinking about Luton and preparing for the game in the best possible way and earning the right to beat them. On Martinelli, we've gone over that as well. On having his whole squad available now, the games are coming thick and fast. Yes, we have discussed that and pushing each other and being available to contribute in any way to help us win the game and perform consistently at the level that we need to. So we're going to need everyone. Then he said that's certainly something really important. They need to feel it, and the best way to feel it is to play minutes. When they don't have the capacity to show what they can do, they have to show it in training. We have to be close to them, and we have to convince them to keep doing it and earn the right to play. I think he'll start Eddie and Nketiah now that I think about this. On playing a different style to get a result at City, you have to sometimes, because you want to adapt, and sometimes because you have to adapt, you have that resilience and leave your ego and ideology aside and the way you have to win the game. The team was mentally really strong, and it was really clever the way they did it. Now, me, and I'm sure a lot of you, I can't find any fault with what Mikel Arteta has had to say, because again, not to diss the great man Arsene Wenger, and even to a degree Pep Guardiola, and even in Mikel Arteta, people, you know, these managers play a certain style regardless of what happens. Only Postecoglou isn't criticized for it, and then you're called naive, really. So I like the fact that we can adapt. We don't, you could not, there's obviously been times we've shown resolute defensive performances, but you cannot tell me a time across the 28, 29, however many games we played this season where you can say Arsenal played anything close to that. So that shows me that we can leave our ego to the side, where when you're playing a team that is, there's no shame in it. Pep's a better manager than Arteta. The core group of them boys are better than Arsenal's, and they've achieved a hell of a lot more than us. So I've got no complaints about that, really and truly. on the players not satisfied with a point at City, which is music to my ears and talks about the mentality shift. You prepare the game to win it, and when you feel that you have what it takes to go there and win, you want to do it. And if you don't, you're not satisfied. But at the same time, you have to understand how you're growing as a team and be smart enough in the moment to accept something else, which is true. He was then asked on, the Luton game in December, especially how tough it was to win and how difficult they made it for every team. Big compliments to Rob and the coaching staff. What they have done as a club is an amazing journey. I think they deserve more credit than any other team in this league. Okay, Arteta's capping a bit, but it's cool. How they have done it and how they transmit as a team and what they generate, it is going to be a really tough match. On his celebrations at the end, it was really emotional, and the way we celebrated tells you the difficulty of the match and how much we had to fight for the point, so we know what we're facing. On when he first recognized the chemistry between William Saliba and Gabriel, when I decided with the club to send Willow to Marseille, he's on banter. I'm just joking. You just feel it when you see the partnership, and sometimes there's chemistry between two players and they complement each other. One's like fire, one's like ice. It's good cop, bad cop, and it's a great partnership. They're so happy to work with each other, to work off each other, and it just flows when that happens. I think they enjoy playing together, and again, they have been really good. On how we will approach the Luton game versus the City one, we're going to be needing even more. It's just after 2.5 days, Luton are in a really good moment. When you see the games that they have played, and even when they haven't won, they've been really tough. We have had some extraordinary results against the two other teams that are at the moment leading the table. We are not top, so that means that we have missed certain points somewhere else, and that's what we have to put emphasis on now tomorrow. So getting all the points. So will that mean forget rotation? Arteta is playing the team that has been doing the business? I'm not sure. Let me know your thoughts. On this being the crucial part of the season, I'm really excited. Hopefully, we've said, the last two previous years, this is where it's been won or lost. Hopefully it's third time lucky, boys. I'm really excited. We had these discussions when we played Liverpool a few months ago. It's a must win or not lose because the title is over. I like that approach. That was 2 months ago. It's always like that when you look back in October and you feel the necessity to win and be there. It's not going to change from now until the end. Obviously, the end is coming. 9 games is still a lot, and I just embrace the moment, go game by game, and make sure we are fully prepared for tomorrow to perform well. On the narrative around Saliba's absence last season and the contributing factor to us not winning the Prem. So what is the narrative this season? Saliba is fit, so what's going to happen? There has to be a narrative. No, there has to be a narrative when he doesn't play and a narrative when he does play. Arteta is cheeky. On whether Saliba being fit will mean we win the title, let's take that one. Okay, let's move on. Then obviously he's going to say it's important to keep players fit. On being in contention for both the Prem and the Champs, this is where we want to be, and now we want to take this opportunity and make it happen. We work every single day with enthusiasm and passion to make it happen and enjoy the moment as well. I see the team really flowing and they're really excited about playing these games, and that's what our drive has to be to the end of the season. And then he said he's pretty excited, he's full of energy, and it's the most important part of the season. And when asked how he feels as a player versus a manager, obviously he's going to say it's different. On if we have to win every game to be in the mix for the title, I mean, mathematically, no one can pick the future, but I would say we need to. I don't know, but it's going to be really close to that. When you see the level and the consistency of other teams and historically what is needed to win in this league, it's not going to be very far from that. On finding the balance for players to have as many minutes as possible, it's a fallacy. There's never going to, if life was fair, we'd have a lot less. I'm sure Mikel Arteta and every manager would like to give every player suitable minutes so that there's no complaints, but reality is there's a hierarchy. If we had the mass rotation and whatnot, we might not have done what we've done up until this point, and we might not be where we should be. When the form's shaky and we're getting inconsistencies and stuff, by all rights, there should be other players, but it's about winning, and we've been winning games or taking points from games and ticking over. It's always that balance when you play and haven't played. It's our obligation and duty to prepare to play any minute in any moment. You see lots of moments with the example of Reece. When you look at Reece's moments for Arsenal, there are moments when he's played a few minutes and made a huge impact, which Bournemouth last season, he weren't even on the bench for City last game out. It's one of the best days of his life as an Arsenal player. Nobody remembers if he started or came off the bench, and a lot of examples are like this in both football and history of sport. When a lot of players make their impact, sometimes you just need a second to change the history of a football club. You just need 100 minutes to play a football match. On if that's easy to explain to the players, it's easy to see that it's a fact and not something I'm inventing. Of course, he's got to have a question. Like the cold reality is for the players that are on the peripheral of things, you might be a Zinchenko or Jesus or Thomas Partey or Tomiyasu, guys that 9 times out of 10 have played a lot of football. But right now, other players are doing the job, so your opinion doesn't mean much. You might be Reece Nelson, Smith Rowe, Fabio Vieira, etc. But right now, you're not better if it's whether it's form or the ability of players, or even what players can give us in bad moments, or players that, you know, have shown longer consistency. You're not ahead of people. So it's either, you know, you accept your situation and try to change it and take your chance, a bit like Kirill at left back, or you talk in the end of the season about what you want to do. It's as simple as that. And a couple of players obviously are going to depart. You have to have a picture of what is coming, certainly, and manage the load of when we're going to be able to train, how long we're going to have to prepare for games, the historic and congested period of each individual, and how we still perform in the best possible way with the best relationships. There's a lot of factors the team needs to perform to make the right decision. When asked on our phases, this is a long press conference, isn't it? Let me go back to the computer. We're not far. I think we're getting close to that. But once you get to certain moments, you go back to phase 1 again, and you want to build it, and you want to be better, and you have to continue to evolve. On if he can explain each of his phases. No. Maybe one day we'll have a coffee and I'll tell you how it works. Yeah, when we, you know, get to the end of it and get some trophies. On if we're on the track, we certainly are, because we feel a lot of things around the club, and it's not only the first team. Big up the women for winning the Conti Cup as well. When the women, what the women did at the weekend made us so proud, and it's so important as well, because we are really encouraging and embracing them to have that space that they fully deserve, and they're doing incredibly well. It's the same with the academy, and the same with the supporters, with the unity we have as a club of what we want to project from that sense. There are a lot of good things happening, but we want and we need to aim for much more than that. We've gone over Timber's stuff already, people. He then said he thinks he has a good chance. He doesn't know the percentage, but he thinks he has a good chance, and he's going to push as far as he can, and I'm sure Timber would want to. On if too many changes can disrupt the team, where are we to rotate? Yeah, it's that double-edged sword, really. And if you win, nobody cares. If you lose, oh, what happened there? That's a good question. We're always wondering about that. And it's just changing certain personnel in certain moments, and those relationships between players, how long they have played together, how much time they have spent together, that can affect it as well. That's related to what they do in training every single day. We'll look at all these things. We'll try to find the right team to win. It'd be nice to see Fabio Vieira and Martinelli link up to score and assist. Only if he prefers 1 or 2 changes or more. We have done it before. Historically, we have done both. At times they have worked, and others not as well. Is that in relation to the change, or would it have been the same? It's very difficult to predict, which I agree. I still can't believe we have the best centre-back partnership in the world, and they're only 23 and 26. It's crazy, isn't it? Remember, apart from Luton, as we didn't play them last season, the rest of the teams we beat last season. So let's just see how things pan out game by game. Let's take it game by game. I know it's cliche, but that's the exact mindset that needs to be applied. Exactly. Can't get too scared. Can't get too excited. If you handle your job week in, week out, the variables you can control, then obviously if City and Liverpool, if things go south for them, which we want, then we can have other discussions. Worried about Rice, though. Man's been putting in hella shifts this March. Managing him will be critical. His fitness and availability is so important. It's true, but that man's tougher than old boots. It would be nice to see him rested on occasion, man. But yeah, man. Having your strongest 11 doesn't necessarily relate to the best performances from the squad. Luton will be a challenge no matter who they put out. Amen. Do you agree on Keane's comments on Haaland's general play is of League 2 level? I mean, I'm sitting here just talking with you lot on YouTube. Roy Keane's played for, not only been a footballer, but played at the highest level, won a Champions League, won stuff for United. So if he's saying that, then who am I? For my humble opinion, I don't think Haaland's general play is the greatest. I actually think it's improved a lot at City, but League 2 level, I'm not too sure. I think it's a lot better than that, if I'm honest. You know, again, Haaland Haaland is the best number 9 in the Premier League and probably in the world. But if you was talking about, obviously, strikers have to score goals, but if you're looking at what strikers bring in the modern day and the systems and stuff like that, his general play isn't there like that. It's not better than Kai Havertz's. It's not better than Trossard's. It's not better than Gabriel Jesus's. It's just about better than Eddie Nketiah's in the most respectful way. You know, it weren't even better than Lacazette's. And I'm not criticizing him. His general play is not a strength of Haaland's. That's not his bread and butter. He needs to improve at it. And it's that double-edged sword of, when you're not scoring goals, like ironically City on Sunday, what are you providing? And, you know, if Haaland isn't, you know, if he hasn't got that in his game, if Arsenal found the system which we did to kind of stifle Kevin De Bruyne, Rodri, Foden, Bernardo, the chefs that cook the meal for Haaland to eat, then it is something in that. But I think League 2 level is a bit of an exaggeration and maybe a bit of sensationalized comments to get views. I'm not sure. We've got 64 likes. Can we get to 100, folks? God bless everyone who's hit the like button so far. Not sure about the league. Yeah, exactly. He's doing a bit too much. He's doing a bit too much in that regards. There's plenty of strikers that have better general play than Haaland, but how many are as cerebral as him, as clinical as him in world football? Arguably, he's the best. Like, who has a claim to be better than Haaland in world football? Off the top of my head, we'll be playing a certain striker that's at Bayern Munich and used to play for Spurs in Harry Kane. I don't really feel there's a better striker. Like, and even that, I'm taking Haaland. Well, I prefer the way Kane plays over Haaland, but I'm taking Haaland, age irrelevant. I'm taking Haaland over Kane because I just think the man's a monster. Yeah, you could say Mbappe and Vinicius, they can play up front, but they don't play up front like that. So, yeah, it's something for him to work. Approach is defensive. We look calm, bar the 1-0 Palace game. I haven't felt nervous when we defended a lead. I think I did to a degree against Nottingham Forest. Was it Nottingham Forest? Where Ben White and Zinchenko were getting mad at each other. There's definitely been sometimes I felt nervous, but yeah, man. Who gives a F what he did as a player, what the Wasteman do as a manager? Oh, yeah. I mean, he had that Henri thing about him in that, you know, because they were so good as footballers, they're not really the best teachers. Look, man, everyone needs to dig in and contribute, even Kirill putting in work. It's a squad business. That's what it is. Same Roy that came out recently and said he doesn't watch games like that. There you have it. So, yeah, and typically the best players don't really, like, obviously there's a correlation between players that have achieved, people that have achieved something in their playing days and have achieved stuff as managers. But they're, you know, 9 times out of 10, the worse the player, the better the manager, really and truly. Like, big up Mikel Arteta. He had a very good playing career. You know, he was played for a number of clubs, probably more known for his Everton days. But, you know, he didn't get, obviously because of the ability, he didn't get in the Spain squad. Wasn't really a legend like that, but he's a fantastic gaffer, really. Then you look at Pep, who's a bit more balanced. I think Cesc is going to be a good manager. I am actually keen to see who's going to end up being a manager at Arsenal. And when I say manager, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to follow Mikel Arteta's footsteps and be a Premier League manager. But, you know, Ramsdale's done his coaching badges. Rob Holding isn't here, but he done his. Xhaka's done his. Jorginho's doing his. I don't know if I've said it, but El Nene's done his. And I think there's a couple of others. Maybe they're just getting it because it's something to do and you've got more options if you want to, if the time comes. But yeah, and you look at Pep, a lot of his players will go into management as well. But moving on from that, kind of keeping up the theme with squad rotations, when you look at this from CIES football, we're up there for really lack of rotation. I'm not criticizing it. I'm just showing that to go to the next level, I think we need a lot of depth. City have more depth than you can count and have dealt with injuries, but we're both at 79%. So I think you need depth, but I think everyone that follows my platforms, I'm not a fan of rotation for rotation's sake. Yes, if you want to, you know, try little things. If Arteta's got, for example, you know, if he's got little things he wants to try to get one over his opponent game to game, or he thinks it's a time to rest players, I agree with that. But I don't agree, and I'm not a fan of people just rotating for the sake of it. Yeah, if everybody's like Mbappe and Lionel Messi and all these great Henri and that, and everybody's of that level, then fair enough, you can play whoever you want. But you know, you're working week in, week out, day in, day out on training sessions. You know, you have to work with the same core 11 so they can go out and implement what's required. So, yeah, it is what it is in that regards, people. Moving on, Kimmich to Arsenal rumours won't go away. Apparently, football transfers can reveal that Arsenal have approached Bayern Munich over the availability of Joshua Kimmich, where they recently came out and said that he doesn't want to decide his future until he knows who the next manager is. They have said, we, as in them, understand the Gunners were told by Bayern that they'll refuse to have any type of dialogue regarding a move for the versatile 29-year-old until the end of the season. Hopefully that's turned his head with the Champions League fixtures coming up. However, we are told that Kimmich is considered a concrete target for the summer, and sources expect Arsenal's interest in the German to really heat up once the campaign is finished. I mean, that could be said for any player of any club. Really, you know, the season's finished, you'll try and sign players. So it sounds great, but it's not necessarily that amazing. It's no secret Mikel Arteta loves versatile players, and the Gunners are in the market for someone who can feature as a right back as well as further forward. That's interesting because you have also seen rumours we're looking for a left back. So maybe we need defensive reinforcements. We all know Kimmich prefers to play in midfield and can do a job at right back. We all are well aware that he's contracted until 2025, people, so we'll have to see. Jeremy Frimpong has a 40 million euro release clause, and City and Man United have all been linked with the Leverkusen fullback, who, if Arteta wants him, great. I think he's a good player. I have a lot of concerns about him defensively. Going forward, boy, him and Saka would make something crazy happen, or having that option, something crazy could happen on that right-hand side. Defensively, I'm you look a bit shaky, but you know, Arteta, if there's genuine interest beyond paper talk, then Arteta, not to say you're going to make everything happen, but it is what it is. And apparently, Football Transfers can reveal Kai Havertz spoke to Kimmich privately about a potential move. Naturally, really, you know, when we signing Declan Rice, you'd imagine Edu spoke with the West Ham counterparts. Mikel Arteta done his part, obviously telling Declan Rice what we're trying to achieve and what you can do. And naturally, even Declan Rice could have asked Saka, you know, or you naturally, the Sakas, the Ramsdales, anybody really probably sat there and said, yeah, Declan, come over here. It's the English thing, blah, blah, blah. Boy, did him dirty though, because your boy Ramsdale's is peak. But yeah, Kimmich is going to continuously be linked with people. Arsenal have also been linked with a move for a left back, but we're told that this is wide of the mark. Zinchenko could be sold this summer. Arsenal believe they have more than enough options on the left. I mean, with Timber, Kirill might not be an organic left back, but doing his thing, I'm all for it. That's why I said, for me, Tomiyasu as well. I would love a versatile kind of Timber Tomiyasu defensive edition. I don't know where you can find them. I don't know the names to say, but it'd be nice to have someone, you know, I don't expect to see Timber and Tomiyasu play centre-back too many times at Arsenal, but they can do it. Left back, right back, they're comfortable on either side. And it's lovely, actually, you know, the multifunctionalness of our, well, Gabriel. I actually think Gabriel could do the Laporte thing at left back, and I think Saliba could play right back in theory, but you want to see them just playing their roles. But then you've got Benjamin White, you can play a couple of roles. Kirill can play a couple of roles. Timber and Tomiyasu can play a couple of roles, and there's a lot of versatility, better yet, all over the side. So that's that, people. I don't think anybody expects Arsenal to get Rodrigo, but apparently Rodrigo's made it clear he will not leave if Real Madrid sign Mbappe. I think it'd be silly, because I do think there's a reality for Mbappe, a young Endrick, Vinicius, Rodrigo, who's for me a 10, to all thrive. Bellingham, Camavinga, all these guys crazy. He's got no intention of joining Arsenal. I don't know why we've even got that up there. Apparently, Newcastle are braced for Arsenal and Spurs to launch £100 million bids for Isak. In terms of quality and the way the market is, fair enough. But really, we expect Arsenal to spend £100 million. I think it would be amazing. I think he's not Thierry Henry, but there's certain maneuvers he does that Thierry Henry-esque. I think he presses well. I think he drops deep well. I think he's a cold-hearted killer in front of goal when it comes to taking penalties and scoring. His general play is great. You saw it against West Ham. 24 years of age. You can link up again with Martin Odegaard. But the injuries, I can't see us spending £100 million. If we did, fair enough. But for what it's worth, Newcastle, and again, they've got FFP issues. So if they get £100 million for Isak, there's a decision to make. I mean, does it make sense to leave Newcastle for Spurs? I know I'm an Arsenal fan and I'll be pushing that agenda, but it don't make no sense to me. Postecoglou's a good manager, but because of the money Newcastle have, once they get over this hurdle and they bring in depth, they're a couple of years away from doing something special. Arsenal, City, all these clubs, even United, historically, I understand it though. Spurs? I think Spurs are more likely to get Tony. But anyways, Newcastle are bracing themselves for Arsenal and Spurs to make £100 million offers for Alexander Isak this summer. According to The Sun, there are concerns that Newcastle may have to sell Isak as they look to ensure they comply with FFP rules. Eddie Howe's adamant that he'll stay at the club, but they could be forced, especially if they miss out on European football. Smash the like button, subscribe, and don't forget to let me know your thoughts, people. He's got 28 goals in 58 appearances for Newcastle since he joined. So far, he has 14 in 21 Premier League games. Eddie Howe has said that anything could happen. The Swedish striker himself has said, if things show up, things can happen. So that tells me that's code language for I'm cool at Newcastle. I'm not going to force a move out. But if there's an offer, naturally, I've got ambition. Things might happen. Respectfully to Newcastle, because they've been a big club. But I'm sure of Isak being 24 years of age, when he was growing up kicking ball, Arsenal was a club that was lit. Thierry Henry. Well, I'm 28, so if you're 24, was you really watching Thierry Henry? You get the point anyways, folks. Spurs, they got 100 million for that. And crucially, they signed him for 63 million. I know it's very different, but I would ask, just as a fan, like, why didn't we get Isak from Sociedad when the time was there? I must admit, I do look at, there's a couple of players in the Prem I look at. Ironically, 3 are at West Ham, and I think you'd be great in Arsenal system. 5, if you include Pedro Neto, I think Isak would be great here. I think Paqueta, I can't lie, I didn't always rate Paqueta in when he was in Italy, but Paqueta would be lovely in that 8 role. Bruno Gomares would be lovely. I think Bowen would be amazing on the transition in this team. And obviously, Mohamed Kudus, really. Kudus, I don't know why Arsenal didn't go for a minute. Maybe it has to be factors away from the player, because you could play on the flank, centrally, a strong ball carrier. Mikel Arteta, you could see what he could do with him. It would be amazing. But yeah, apparently if Spurs are unable to sign Isak, then they could turn their attentions to Ivan Toney. I mean, Spurs, West Ham, it's changed. Fortunes have changed a lot for Ivan Toney, innit? Keeping up the theme with strikers, we've once again been linked with the Porto striker, Evan Nilsson. I can never pronounce his name. Apparently, according to HITC, the Gunners reps and those from Newcastle scouted the player again this past weekend. You could argue Newcastle need a striker regardless, but being devil's advocate, could this be the replacement for Isak? I'm not sure. He's got 21 goals this campaign. If we're getting anyone from Portugal, for me personally, Gyökeres. And I did a video on him. Check out the YouTube video I did, people. So yeah, at 24 years of age, there's a lot to like, but it's easy to link Arsenal with strikers. Again, Rafinha links won't go away owing to Barcelona's financial issues. I'm dreaming, but if we were to go and trouble Barcelona for any players before Rafinha, I'm trying to see what they're saying for Araujo. As I said, dream chasing. Araujo, Pedri, that young Yalmao guy, Frankie de Jong. And I know he's old and whatnot, but I must admit, Gundogan would have been lit in that left eight for Arsenal. It would have been lit. Leave Rafinha alone, man. Like, when you see links with Nico Williams and Pedro Neto, I'd prefer them because they can play on the left and the right. Obviously, Rafinha is a professional footballer. You can play on the left. But from what I've seen of you at Barca, you look like a duck out of water on the left-hand side. So if you're going to predominantly play on the right, yeah, in theory, you could ease the burden on Bukayo Saka. But because of your age and where you're at and the money they probably want, in theory, it needs to be someone better than Bukayo Saka, and you're not. So I think this is a myth. But we did try to get him, regardless of what I've just said, when he was at Leeds. So maybe there's a method to the madness. But you turfed us once, it's probably done. So yeah, he's won back his place in the starting 11. I mean, obviously, if you look at their faces, it's different. But if you look at that young Yalmao and you look at Rafinha and you said one's a 27-year-old that's played X amount of times, one is a fresh 16, 17, however old you are, you'd think Rafinha's the guy fresh out of La Masia. So a myth. According to Sport, the winger is happy at the La Liga Giants and does not want to leave this summer, but that may not matter as Barca will push to sell the Brazil international to help ease their financial issues. Arsenal and Chelsea, who were once linked with him before, and Spurs are all interested. Leave him to Spurs. I think he's a fantastic player, if I'm honest, but it's not what we need. Again, Zubamendi. I'm actually going to do a video on Zubamendi. I'm going to have to start it after this. Notifications, turn them on. Arsenal face a battle on and off the pitch with Bayern Munich with the Champions League quarter-finalists, both reportedly eyeing Real Sociedad's Martin Zubamendi. Allegedly, the midfielder remains on the list as the top transfer target at the Emirates ahead of the 2024 summer transfer window, people. The Gunners are looking to bolster their squad ahead of next season, yada, yada, yada. Apparently, Zubamendi has emerged as a player of interest. Romano's confirmed that interest. He did tweet, I understand Martin Zubamendi remains on Arsenal's list, and he was top of Bayern's list, indicates Xabi Alonso was going to become their new coach. Ooh, imagine Zubamendi and Xhaka. I would have loved Xhaka to have stayed for one more year now that we're here, but it is what it is. And I think everyone would agree we need a couple of roles, but we'd all love a midfielder. Apparently, Zubamendi once said, I've never planned to leave Real Sociedad. I always say that I love life here at home. I'm so happy here. The values of this club are the same as mine, so I feel very good. I've always said that I'm happy. I mean, he's Spanish like Mikel. He's from that region, Mikel Arteta. I don't know what you tell these players, but it seems like you arouse the imagination of these footballers about signing for Arsenal, and they're enticed about what you can do. You hear what Saka says, and all the players that have come in, go and call him. Call his phone. Get your young Arsene Wenger on. You need to arrive at the Emirates because I need to see midfield addressed personally. Moving away from that, on social media, we was linked with Ahamadou Onana again. West Ham have been told that 60 million will do it. Bit overpriced for the 22-year-old, but I would love him in the squad. It'd be good in the squad. I wouldn't look at you. And again, if that's what Arteta believes, I'm all for it. But I wouldn't look at him and think, oh, you know what? You and Declan Rice together, we're sorted now. I kind of want someone whose strengths are obviously defensively. You're going to have to put in the shift. I want their strengths to be more in the final third. But in an ideal world, I would want two central midfielders. I don't think that happens. If you was to get Zubamendi and Onana, I'm quite content with that, really and truly. How crap has Calvin Phillips been for them? Brazy. Absolutely brazy. So yeah, we've gone over Zubimendi, but Romano has said Martin Zubimendi is still super happy at Sociedad. He loves the club, the fans, the city, no issues. Of course, if any club will trigger his release clause, it'll be up to the player to decide on the next move. But he's surely on the list at Arsenal and Bayern. In brackets, I never said Bayern were unlikely, just that he was a top target in the case Alonso joined, and it will now depend on the new coach. Now, Xabi Alonso and Mikel Arteta play very differently, but they're quite similar. Maybe that's because of their upbringing, their the way Spanish managers look at stuff, etc., etc. But yeah, man, I could see if both of them won him, then you could see there's something there. So let's wait and see on movements in the summer. But Zubimendi is not pushing to leave. However, in case of proposals, he'll consider his future. So you give him an offer, he's got a decision to make. I mean, I love Arsene Wenger, but he tried to sign everyone at 15. He's revealed he was desperate to sign Martin Odegaard before he joined Real Madrid. I must admit, there's been a couple of players over the last few years that I would have loved to have seen play under Arsene Wenger. Take nothing away from what Mikel Arteta is doing. Big up yourself, man. Before we carry on, what's this I'm hearing? 100 million for Isak. No way he can go. Rather get Tony, but Victor Osimhen is the perfect fox in the box. I'm considering doing a video on Osimhen because I like him, but I think even to a degree with Zubimendi, it becomes that, not that the player is overrated, but when we're linked and every fan becomes enticed that they're the guy, I think they become a bit overrated. But as I was saying, there's a couple of players I would have loved to have seen play under Arsene Wenger. I would have loved to have seen Bukayo Saka. I would have loved to have seen Martinelli. I would have loved to have seen Gabriel Jesus. I would have loved to have seen Martin Odegaard. There's a couple more. Silly because of the French ties. And this is, you're probably going to look at the screen and say, what the hell are you talking about, DG? Matteo Guendouzi. I would have loved to have seen what Arsene Wenger could have done under him. Well, he could have done under Arsene Wenger. But yeah, man, big up Father Wenger, big up Granddad. You need to come back to the Emirates, man. Like, where have you been? Like you need to get this guy back at the Emirates, man. We need him. Come back for the Chelsea game. But yeah, apparently Gabriel Jesus is willing to play out wide for Arsenal to help them get over the line in the title race. Well, to be fair, Kai Havertz is doing more than you, so you ain't really got a choice. The way I am, I try everything I can to help my team. It doesn't matter where I play, I'll always try my best. Bring up yourself. I did it against Man City. I was very deep. Normally, I'm not that deep, but I had to play as a winger. I think I'll help my team playing like this. Then also, when we're there in attack, I create some chances. I could do a bit better, but football is like this sometimes. Fair enough. And the man also went on to say, this is the most beautiful part of the season. You try to win everything. You try everything to win titles. I've seen Arteta say that now on a couple of the players. So I love that. Rather than get scared, let's go and relish what we could achieve. It's the Premier League. It's a tough league and anything can happen. It's only 2 points, the difference with Liverpool. Then we have a very good goal difference. Everything counts at the end. There are still a lot of games. And scoring more goals and keeping more clean sheets is always a sustainable way of going about things, people. So yeah, Arsene Wenger has criticized Gabriel Jesus. Now, when he talks, you listen, people. What specifically has he said? And according to reports, we've narrowed down our shortlist to Ivan Ferguson, Goya Queiroz, Osimhen, Ivan Toney, and Benjamin Sesko for what it's worth, people. The Frenchman said in relation to Odegaard and Bergkamp, there's a lot of similarities between the current Arsenal side and his team, Martin Odegaard and Bergkamp. They have no Thierry Henry at the moment because I think Gabriel Jesus is injured a lot. There are more goals in him what you see at the moment. What the top player doesn't tolerate is being in and out. The guy who makes history are the guys who are consistently there. Cristiano, Ronaldo, and Messi, they play for 15 years, 50 to 60 games a year. And then he said, oh, sorry, that's with Jesus. I mean, he didn't really criticize him. I got done by the title. That's not really criticism. It's more praise. Akanji's crying about us making tactical fouls. This is crazy coming from City, the kings of it. And I'm not criticizing it. I like it, but don't give it if you can't take it. Look at Pep Guardiola. He gave this man a career. He's not the same Akanji from Dortmund. I mean, to be fair, I did think the ref in the City-Arsenal game let a lot go for both teams. Akanji, I hope to see the same energy if we go back to the game at the Emirates. Kovacic probably should have been in jail for the 2000 Rice and Odegaard. So, the game's the game. But I must admit, and I might be saying differently, but I actually... Obviously, if you go watch my watch along, I was a bit angry about certain decisions, but I actually think the ref did all right. And I know on YouTube, you don't know me, I'm very quick to attack the refs. But I actually think, and while it wasn't a feisty affair and stuff, I think the ref did his best to just let things go and kind of assess the situation and the occasion. On other days, I think there's hella yellow cards for both teams. So yeah, we've gone over the Zubimendi stuff. He's still appreciated by whatnot, by Munich. Ben Jacobs has spoken on Nketiah and said, I would keep an eye on Crystal Palace, who were very keen in January, but Arsenal and Nketiah didn't want to proceed mid-season because, again, depth was important to Arsenal. Fair enough. And you'd imagine his career is subject to speculation come the summer. Once again, at 7 p.m. on the topic of players, people, make or break, and squad players, I've kind of spoke about, when these players will get opportunities, when they can come into it. So, yeah, show that some love. Even if you're not going to watch it, smash the like button. Tomorrow, obviously, we'll be watching Arsenal against Luton together, people. So make sure you're there. If you're on YouTube, that should be pinned to the live chat. What else have we got? And we're doing a hate-along. We're watching West Ham versus Spurs, where I'd rather West Ham win it, of course. But, West Ham fans piping up a bit. But, yeah. I mean, I even got Spurs fans showing love in the comments. But yeah, content never stops, man. But yeah, we've got over that stuff. What are you lot saying in the comments? Swap Jesus for Adeyemi. Bring Adeyemi, but I wouldn't swap Jesus. I like Jesus. I think the ref did all right as well. Odegaard came on track like 15, I swear. I know he had a Liverpool trial, but I'm not too sure with that, man. Probably half of these players had trials in all sorts of players. Arsenal have had Rakitic on trials. Valverde's been on trial. I don't get the Onana thing. Get us a ball player. That's what I'm on. Get a ball player in centre mid. And if you want to bring a physical figure, fair enough. Not to get at Onana. I don't think he's anything to scream and shout about technically. But I think his technical level is quite good. I think he'd fit in at Arsenal. But he's more of a younger Thomas Partey for me. And even that, Partey obviously has a lot of qualities on the ball. You could argue that some that Declan Rice doesn't possess. Guendouzi sending love letters to Emery. I wouldn't want to see him under Wenger. Wenger knew how to control these kind of crazy guys, man. He knew how to control them, man. He would have trust me. Wenger is like, for us kids, well, us people who were kids, in school when you're a bad breed kid, which nothing to be proud of, behave in school, extremely naughty kid. That one favorite teacher that kind of tolerates your nonsense or kind of guides you in the right way, that Wenger can do that, man. Wenger can do that. He can do that. If I'm honest, is that my number one choice? He suits us perfectly. I don't think we're going to go for him because I don't think we're on paying 100 million. Obviously, there's probably concerns about his injuries. I think, and whether Newcastle want to sell to a rival is another thing. I think there's a willingness to get a deal done if there's a degree of that encouragement, and I think the club would like him. But I just think it's a Gyökeres kind of thing. I think we're more likely to try and get Isak than Tony. I think Tony is, for a lot of clubs, kind of, if you've tried to get Osimhen, you've tried to get Sesko, you tried to get Boniface, you tried to get this guy, that guy, for whatever reason, it ain't worked. Ivan Toney's still going to be there. Pass on Kimmich for me, go bar. So I'm having Kimmich. Might be too late for Haaland to get better there. He relies on his physique his whole life. I mean, I think his general play's improved, but he's never going to look like a Gabriel Jesus, so he's never going to have great general play. It can improve, but it's not, like you said, it's not a component of his, really and truly. The man's just a gunman, a cold-hearted killer. Provide him surface, he scores goals. I'm going to exaggerate a bit, but I think he has, well, no, you don't, because Cristiano Ronaldo, but excluding Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi and whatnot, I think of this new generation or whatever, I think he's got the potential to go down as one of the greatest goal scorers, if not the greatest goal scorer in the game, if I'm honest. But that's the thing with being a striker. You score goals, but your heat map and your general play in the channels, you do all of that stuff, but you don't score goals. You're kind of killed, really. Your carries would be lit. I like Sesko, man, just because he's a blank canvas, and I've seen enough from you to know, for me anyways, Mikel Arteta would work wonders with you. It would take a while, but he really would get a tune out of him, in my humble opinion anyways. I think he'd really, really get a tune out of him, but I don't know really and truly, if I'm honest, man. Arteta will be the man to rely on for the next games. Everybody, man. I think Arteta set us up perfectly for City. He was proactive with the subs. He got every decision right. And obviously, whatever he's asked these boys to implement, they've gone out there and showed the bravery to go and do it. I also believe the players have got to want to do it, really. There's been times where, mainly when Arteta first walked in, and we'd have some great team plays or we'd have some great games, and there'll just be one mistake that's kind of made it and whatnot. So, yeah, man, it's time for everyone to earn their money, because at the end of the day, we're living the season. A week's a long time in football if you go back to the first week of the season to now. But all that matters is the start and the end, really. How we started and where we ended. And 20 years from now, all the things I'm praising from Arteta and the boys from over the last 2 years, they're not really going to be relevant. I may not remember them. And this is where I would love for us last season and also what's left of this year and beyond. Let's etch our name into something in history. Whether that, I don't think we're going to do it, but a Champions League, Premier League, I still think we're third in a 3-horse race, but we've got it all to do. I know when I'm screaming Prem and champs, you lot don't want to hear about FA Cups and whatnot, but for me, I would have loved to have still been in that, just so we can grab something. Even the League Cup, just grab 1-2 things, and the mentality builds even more from that. Do you think Jesus will do good on the wing? 100%. I think Jesus will do good on the wing. I've got no logic to what I'm about to say, but I actually think Jesus will score a lot more goals if he stops playing up front and we just let him do his madness wherever he wants. If I'm completely honest, his injuries at Newcastle need an X next to them. Them man are dropping like flies over there. It's true. It's true. Maybe it's the way Eddie Howe is managing them, but he's had knocks before, man. And even with Isak, like what I like about him is he's got a bit of a foundation. Like you look at half of our players, like even if they're not necessarily quote unquote young, they've all got that theme of a certain foundation. They've all been wonder kids. They've all got that certain foundation. They've all had to show resilience in their careers at some point. You know, Odegaard's been dealing with pressure since 14, 15. People probably thought he was a failed wonder kid. He's found his feet at Arsenal and showing his quality. You know, you look at Kai Havertz, has been dealing with pressure since wherever he came through at Leverkusen. Apparently, Real Madrid tried to buy him when he's at Leverkusen. I saw that today. He's now here. Isak, it didn't work out for him at Dortmund. He was kind of crap for a couple of years. Now he's getting over that. Didn't Jesus play on the wing for City? Yeah, amongst every other position. I'm sure against Real Madrid he played left back once, if I'm honest. And I think with Jesus, I don't know what it is. I think strikers are born to score goals, isn't it? Like, I think Haaland was born to score goals. I think Jesus is a lovely player with the capacity to score, but I don't think he was born to score goals. And I think you look at some of the guys' finishes, like the very difficult finishes, he makes it look easy. The easy finishes, which across a season is your bread and butter as a striker, he makes it look very difficult. And I do think a lot of it at the moment, he ain't played for a while. He hasn't played consistent minutes. I think he's looked a bit rusty. I think, what game was it? Was it Nottingham Forest away before he got injured again? He actually looked quite sharp. I didn't know he was playing with an injury, but there's that. And I don't have anything to go off. And I think Jesus is resilient enough and experienced enough to keep his head in a certain place. But I don't think you look at when Jesus first signed for the club and some of those finishes against Leicester and stuff. I don't think he looks necessarily the most confident in front of goal. When he signed for the club, obviously it was a beautiful narrative. Yes, you've been there, done it, won 4 Premier League titles. We're trying to do that. You can bring that. But the whole carrot was you can play as a number 9 and with some game time, show your qualities. And in many ways, he has it. Whatever Arteta demands from a striker, which isn't necessarily goals. I know Havertz has found his goals. Trossard can do that. And Jesus can do that. But are they all 3 of them names, Eddie as well, are they the most clinical players in the squad? Are they some of the most clinical strikers in the league or in the world? Probably not. So it's all the other facets in which Jesus has done brilliantly at that. But it's become abundantly clear now that at 26 years of age, if you're not going to, and he's been injured, but if you're not going to be a consistent goal scorer now, you're probably not going to. So let's do what City did. You play up front, you play out wide, you get rotated in and about, and we do what needs to be done. Would you take Valverde? And if so, who would you swap, Rice or Odegaard? I would take Valverde off. Some questions shouldn't be asked, man. Neither. I don't want to swap either player, man. But to humor your question, Cam. If I remove my love for Declan Rice and what he done, Declan Rice. I'm not saying players like Declan Rice come around too often because the only 6 that's better than him is Rodri, but Odegaard's a beautiful footballer to watch. Like Odegaard is everything I think Arsenal should be about, if I'm honest with you. And if you've got Valverde, he can do the Declan Rice stuff, if I'm honest. It just to answer your question, but neither, man. No deal. But I'm a big fan of Valverde. That's a difficult question. Your carers is so underrated. Is he really underrated now? Because everybody's rating him. He's the best thing since sliced bread now. Tchouaméni over Valverde, bro. Tchouaméni would be lovely. But these are the guys. You've got to buy them when they're at Monaco. Like, you got to buy Camavinga when he's at Rennes. You've got to buy Tchouaméni when he's at Monaco or even at Bordeaux before that. Obviously, Real Madrid one day might want to sell these players. Let's make sure at the front of the queue. But now it's even a madness. And to be fair, it's even a madness. Tchouaméni, as much as I'm saying buy him from Bordeaux, which I did videos on when he was there, shameless plug. Didn't Real Madrid pay like 100 odd million? So it's crazy. And Real Madrid still ain't resting on their laurels. Half of these 6, 16, 17, 18, all the way to early 20-year-olds, they always link with Real Madrid. They seem to be on the case. It's like Real Madrid missed out on Neymar after having him on trial as a kid. And they said, never again will we miss out on any top talents, especially the South American ones. And that's extended to picking up some French boys, got the English one in Jude Bellingham, etc., etc. I mean, Real Madrid probably got the most exciting players of tomorrow, in my opinion. But then again, Barcelona, Yamal's a quality player. There's some good players for the future, man. That Yamal guy looks good. Endrick looks good. There's some talented players, man. And I think a lot of footballers are, this is just my personal opinion, they're a lot boring. And I don't think for me, I enjoy watching too many footballers. But the names I said, yeah. Pardon me, if Arsenal sign a right wing, Saka might have to leave. I mean, in an ideal world, if they're 20 times better than Saka or double the player Saka is, which I don't know who. I'd love Arsenal to do that because we'd be better as a team and maybe Saka would have to leave, but there's no reason for him to get scared of no right back, bro. You're wearing number 7 at Arsenal Football Club. You know, yes, the only way it gets better is if we win trophies, but from Bukayo Saka, he's getting a lot of money. He's the poster boy every day you wake up. There's some new, what do you call them things, like commercial deals and all of those kind of things. He's at the pinnacle. The only way is down. You're at the top of the mountain. The only way is down. You know that is a shirt that many people would love to come for. Typically, you know, them kind of positions is what teams always looking for. You know you're going to have to fight for that. It's like Smith Rowe, that 10 shirt, you might get disarmed for that very soon. If I'm honest, how much would we get for ESR and Eddie? I don't know, man, because it's what you hustle in today's day and age. You see some reports saying 45 million for Smith Rowe. I thought we'd only stand to get something like that or above if he was doing what he was doing a few years ago. I'm not going to lie. I don't want to sell Smith Rowe, but 2 years left on his deal, barely plays, a lot of injury issues. If you offer 45 million in a sell-on clause, what's already understood ain't got to be explained, man. Do you think Saka hasn't been at his best? In recent weeks, I don't think so. Yamal, best 16-year-old ever. Now, quality player. And I can't really answer that, but Messi, I would say Messi. And I'm not going to lie, bro, 16, 17-year-old says Fabregas, but he's not talking to him right now. But he's one of them guys. I think some people try and be footballers. Some are made. I think when I've seen Pedri, when I've seen Phil Foden, when I've seen Bukayo Saka, when I've seen Yamal, when I see this Endrick guy, like you just, football is you in it. Like there's some good players, man. What about this, DG? Sign Bellingham, but you swap Rice and Odegaard or swap Saka and Martinelli. Rice got a goal, man. Smith Rowe and Eddie together will get 45 million. But they're saying Freddie and Ketty are 35 million. I think that's a good deal, really and truly. England international, shown not this season, but he can deputize / be the number 1 outright. 35. If you can get 35 million for Eddie and Ketty in a sell-on clause, and anything from 30 to 45 million, it's great. Well, then I guess, yeah, you could then. Yeah, you could say Yamal, but I don't know, man. I can't consistently say that. Are you sure? Are you sure it weren't 16? 17? It weren't 16. But yeah, I guess you could say that, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I just, at this moment in time, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think so. But he's got a shout. He's got a shout. What do you think will be the hardest game in the Prem to come? All of them, man. But I would say the one that makes me the most nervous man said you don't know who Foden is. Fair enough. The one that makes me the most nervous that's coming up for Arsenal. For me personally, the North London derby / Old Trafford, because I don't know if the season's going to be running to the last day and we don't travel well to Old Trafford. The same logic applies to the North London derby. But then you've got to play Emirates, Aston Villa. I'm wary of Wolves. I'm wary of Wolves away, man. I'm very wary of Wolves away, if I'm honest with you. Because I think that one there could be a banana skin. But 9 times out of 10, it's the games that you least expect no troubles. And what we've got, respectfully to Bournemouth and to tomorrow against Luton, it's probably these kind of games that might give us the biggest issues, really and truly. Like the games that should be walks in the park, to a degree, of depleted Brentford side a few weeks ago. Obviously, last-minute winners against Luton. To be fair, Brentford home and away, it weren't easy at all, really. We really had to dig in deep. We didn't win the games, but Fulham home and away. Because there will be 2 games. How we started, I'm more vexed about the game away from home because there was no positives. But the game at the Emirates was so frustrating. I hope we can get Rodrigo if Madrid sell him. Would love him. Isak or Yokeres. with all things considered, probably your Keres because of the fee that apparently if they want 60 odd versus what we've seen 100 odd. But from what I've seen Isak more in it, and I think you'd be great at Arsenal. So I'd say I would say that if I'm honest with you. It's a good question. The money that Real Madrid is making, they can move like that. It's true. It really is true. It really is true. So yeah, people, 92 likes. We're just shy of 100. Appreciative to you lot who have hit the like button. But with it just being just over an hour, I don't want to bore you lot and let you lot listen to my monotone voice. I appreciate you lot tuning in across all the platforms. Make sure you're following on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Appreciative to you lot listening, your comments, your differences of opinion, your engagements, and your consistent support. Obviously, later today, I'll be watching West Ham versus Spurs with you lot. Hopefully, Spurs lose. And then obviously tomorrow, watching Luton against Arsenal. Later today at 7 p.m, just before I go live at 8:10, to obviously watch the London derby with you lot. I've done a bit of a video in relation to our fringe players, so the content doesn't go away. Last question before I get out of here: which game do you think Liverpool might lose or draw? I don't know, man, because do you know what it is with Liverpool? They're at the point of the season where it's just about getting results, and they're doing it. But the last couple of games I've watched from them, they've made it difficult. Like, ironically, the time I actually felt like Liverpool of old was City versus Liverpool. That second half, it looked like City looked like academy graduates up against seasoned veterans, if I'm honest. Looking at their fixtures, I mean, I hope to be proven wrong, but they're going to bop Sheffield United like on Thursday. I mean, really, and well, Crystal Palace, you know what? All hopes are on Crystal Palace rocking up at their gaff, or, you know, Liverpool having an off day on the 27th of April against West Ham. I think they'll bop Spurs at Anfield. I think they'll beat Aston Villa. Even Aston Villa could be a techie game for them. I'd say all hopes are probably on Crystal Palace, maybe Fulham at home, because teams have gone there and messed about. Hope United could do us a favour, but, you know, it's a United. I guess they're still fighting for top four, but they're probably out of that race now. And Liverpool, remember what happened in the FA Cup, so there'll probably be that. So I don't know, really and truly. We're just going to need to see it happen, man. Last one, DG, who is your... It's not coming up. But Cameron said, who is your favourite content creator to film with? You can't do that, man. I can't pick one. Favourites? There's Bear, man. There's Bear. I think I get on... Big up Alex, the different knock. I think me and him make good content. Tom Canton, big him up. Rants, like Rants and Dance. I'd say that. Big up Auntie Jess. She knows Arsenal. Gooner Lee. Tariq Talks. Make sure you're following him. A lot, man. And I've not said I've not said no names. I just think we get on well. Matisse, when we can get him on the channel. Then man, they're Hollywood now. When we used to make content, ain't been a hot minute. It's been a hot minute, but I'd say Turkish and Curtis. Troops as well. It's lovely to have Troops on the platform. Hussam, Liverpool guy. There's a couple more, man. Dan Potts. And if I ain't said their name, don't feel left out, man. But yeah, they're the ones I will go with. They're the ones I'll go with. Just shy of 100 likes. We got 99 likes. So yeah, it was a good job from you lot, man. Big up you lot for tuning in. But yeah, I'll see some of you lot later. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all of that stuff. But yeah, man, Pele scored his first goal at 16. I hear that. You could say Pele, but I ain't seen Pele kick a ball in it. I'm only 28. But on that note, I'm out. And I've never seen Foden do this, though.
Against this right back, Charlie.